The Dark Pyramid is this massive pyramidal structure under Mount Denali.
In Alaska's frozen wilderness, a massive black pyramid has emerged, emitting strange energy. The U.S. government swiftly sealed off the area and issued warnings about discussing it. Douglas Muckler, a former spy, suspects a hidden agenda.
I can only speculate that the Black Pyramid was put there by the same people or aliens that built the ones in Giza.
Especially as the pyramid sits in an unmapped military zone. What secrets might the government be concealing in Alaska? Join us as we investigate why this dark pyramid could be a tool to destroy the United States. The dark depths of Alaska. The plot thickens with reports that when local news briefly covered the discovery of the pyramid, all evidence of their coverage disappeared. A news station later denied reporting on it, and any footage that could have proved the pyramid's existence was allegedly taken away by unidentified men in dark suits. People who might have seen something were quickly silenced, and any evidence was removed from public view. Douglas spoke to a technician who seemed very scared, confirming the discovery before being suddenly interrupted by serious-looking individuals, likely sent to enforce silence. It appears a deal may have been made involving major defense contractors who received valuable government contracts in return for their help in covering up the truth. Journalist Linda Moulton received information from a former military individual, claiming their father was called back to service in 1978 to study the pyramid's unusual energy capabilities. It was hinted that the pyramid could produce a huge amount of power. Adding to this, Bruce Pearson shared that his father was hired in the late 1970s to help with activities related to the pyramid. While these stories are full of typical conspiracy theory elements, they encourage both skepticism and curiosity, challenging the straightforward explanations offered by official sources. Yet the lack of solid evidence and the reliance on unnamed, uncheckable sources make it hard to take these claims seriously. For now, the full truth, if it does exist, remains just out of reach, hidden not only by supposed government actions, but also by the unclear and speculative nature of the stories themselves. The attraction to such narratives is strong. They stir up doubts and curiosity alike, prompting questions about what is really being presented by government authorities. However, the absence of concrete proof and the reliance on anonymous, unconfirmable sources raise doubts about the authenticity of these claims. It seems that, for the time being, the full truth, if there is any, remains elusive, obscured not just by alleged government actions, but also by the misty, speculative nature of the tales being told. Bruce and his father flew by helicopter to a remote area in Alaska and were surprised to find not just wilderness, but a large-scale operation. Heavy machinery dug into the mountain and guards walked around a fenced-off pyramid, a site that felt more like a construction site than the untouched nature they expected. Curiosity drove them to dig deeper into this unusual situation. However, when Linda's contacts started asking questions, they quickly attracted unwelcome attention. Two men visited the contact, warning them to stop their inquiries or face serious consequences. Since then, odd things have started happening at their house during the night, and their phone and internet services have been strangely unreliable. Who could be in charge of such a large and well-hidden operation? Linda and Douglas started to piece together a story from different bits of history and architecture found around the world. They found old stories about early people meeting beings of light who could change shape and gave them advanced knowledge. Some local people, said to have special psychic powers, claimed they've seen inside the pyramid. They talk about walking through twisting tunnels and into large rooms lined with a strange black material, unlike any rock known to us. These rooms seem to contain advanced technology that appears to be part of the pyramid itself, pointing to a highly sophisticated culture that might have built it. There are many theories. Some say giant explorers from long ago left the pyramid there. Others think the native elders know more about its origins and purpose but keep this knowledge to themselves. Meanwhile, leaked reports suggest that engineers from big technology and defense companies have been sent to study the pyramid. They're trying to use artifacts found inside to create powerful new types of computers that could even help us travel to other dimensions. All this seems to be happening under the supervision of government agencies, who are likely interested in the power and potential benefits such discoveries could bring. Researchers following the story think there's much more happening underground than most people realize. What started as a small, unnoticed, shaking underground has turned out to be a major find that could change everything. As more people like Douglas, Linda, and their friends push for the truth to come out, they are not just uncovering odd bits of history. They are questioning the very stories we've been told about where humans come from and where we are headed. The challenge is not just finding the truth, but also figuring out what's real and what's just a tall tale. If you ever walk through the far north of Alaska, be careful. Beneath the ice, there's a large pyramid made of a glowing black glass-like material. It might hold knowledge or even methods to reach realities beyond our imagination. As more people join the search for the truth, what's coming to light in Alaska is forcing us to rethink everything we thought we knew. Our story moves to a cold, darker place where surprises await, the silent witnesses of Earth's forgotten corners. The story developing in this cold, distant place might soon reveal new truths that challenge our understanding of history and science. Just beyond the next hill, we might find an ancient artifact and a gateway to new worlds. As the search continues, what's being uncovered beneath the ice in Alaska could profoundly change our view of our past and future. Recently, pictures have surfaced online claiming to show aliens interacting with humans. These pictures were found in less accessible parts of the internet, raising questions about their authenticity and origin. The images are not clear and depict beings with long arms and legs, large oval heads, and light-colored skin that shines. These features do not match anything we know from established science. Although experts who have looked at the photos can't find clear evidence of tampering, the fact that these images are being shared rather than openly makes people skeptical. One might ask why such potentially groundbreaking images aren't shown in a straightforward public way. This distribution makes it hard to take the images seriously and suggests that they might be part of a scheme to mislead people for unknown reasons, maybe for personal gain or to influence public opinion. If these images were ever proven to be real, the impact would be huge. They would challenge our scientific understanding and might even force us to rethink our cultural and religious views. However, for now, these images are just a topic of online debate, drawing both curiosity and doubt. People have always been fascinated by the idea of life beyond Earth. This fascination is evident in stories from astronauts and in our popular culture. For example, in 2005, astronauts on the International Space Station saw strange lights in a V-shape moving in space. These lights were very bright and moved in a pattern that seemed unusual. Despite the astronauts' credibility, this sighting remains unexplained and is often cited as a possible encounter with alien technology. Beyond space, Earth's remote areas like Antarctica have also been centers of attention for those who believe in extraterrestrial life. Stories and rumors about alien bases hidden under Antarctica's ice have been circulating for decades. These stories were first inspired by groups in the early 1900s who were fascinated by the idea of ancient advanced civilizations or otherworldly visitors. Some people even thought that the Nazis found evidence of alien life or technology during their expeditions to Antarctica in the 1930s. The persistent lack of solid proof and the human tendency to see patterns where none exist suggests that these stories are more about human imagination than reality. Often, what is claimed as evidence of aliens turns out to be just a mix of hope, coincidences, and misinterpretations. This ongoing cycle of exciting claims followed by inconclusive results tends to stir up excitement more than deliver real answers. It seems that discussions about aliens often serve more to entertain and spark debate rather than provide factual information. The Schwabenland expedition to Antarctica was officially about finding a spot for a new base. However, many think there was another reason for the trip. It's said the Thule Society was really after ancient alien technology believed to be under the ice. Reports from this time tell of UFOs seen frequently above Antarctica. There are even stories that the expedition used high-tech sonar to search beneath the ice. Just a few years later, a large military operation called Operation Highjump, involving forces from the US, Britain, and Australia, added to the intrigue. During this 1946-47 operation, pilots claimed that flying discs followed their planes and they saw strange lights coming from the sea. There's talk that this operation actually ended up fighting against advanced aircraft from another world, causing significant losses of personnel and equipment. Officially, the operation was cut short due to bad weather, but many believe this was just a cover story to protect the public from the real events. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Antarctica continued to be a place of quiet yet consistent unusual events. Ships and planes going near the area reported seeing UFOs, but these reports were often only shared quietly among military people, possibly because of the tense global political situation at the time. However, slowly, these stories began to become more widely known. For instance, in 1962, a British expedition to the Antarctic Peninsula reported seeing strange lights in the sky at night. In 1965, an Argentine ship near the South Shetland Islands noticed their compasses acting strangely, spinning without reason. A pilot from New Zealand in 1973 told of seeing shiny silver discs that followed his plane for hundreds of miles. Also, in 1965, Japanese whalers described a torpedo-shaped object that came up from beneath the ice and followed their ship. These strange happenings continued as the years went on, suggesting that there was something unusual about this cold, remote place. Even with modern satellite and GPS technology, weird sightings have not stopped. Photos have shown unusual patterns in the ice that look like man-made structures or runways where they shouldn't be. Reports of strange glowing clouds have also been made by various people flying over or working in Antarctica. As recently as 2012, a triangular object was seen hovering over an Antarctic research station for hours before it shot up into the sky and vanished in an instant. These ongoing unusual sightings keep people interested in what might be happening in one of the most isolated parts of the world. Looking back at Operation Highjump in 1946, it was presented as a mission to test equipment in extreme cold and to show American presence in Antarctica. But the large scale of the operation and its sudden end, along with the continuing unusual reports from the region, suggest there might be more to the story than what's officially recorded. The ongoing strange events and sightings in this remote, icy place keep the interest in Antarctic activities alive and well. What we find next could change everything we thought we knew. The strange tales from Operation Highjump. In January 1946, Admiral Richard Byrd led a massive military venture from Naval Station Norfolk in Virginia to Antarctica, right after the chaos of World War II had ended. Named Operation Highjump, the expedition was impressively large for its time, involving 4,700 men, 13 ships, and numerous aircraft. Among the fleet were powerful naval assets like the aircraft carrier Philippine Sea, seaplane tender Pine Island, destroyer Brownson, icebreaker North Wind, and the submarine Senate. They were supported by a supply ship, an oiler, and a British-Norwegian whaling fleet, all prepared to face the extreme Antarctic conditions. Upon arrival, the expedition's ships and planes split into 3 groups to thoroughly explore as much of the Antarctic coast as possible. Float planes were busy in the air, monitoring the landscape, while on the ground, icebreakers and snowplows made their way inland. Despite the biting cold and challenging conditions, the crew managed to quickly set up a new base called Little America 4, which marked a significant American presence in the region. However, what was planned as a 6 to 8 month mission was unexpectedly cut short. Only 8 weeks after they started, Admiral Byrd ordered a retreat. Byrd later revealed that the team had several encounters with unusual fast-moving objects in the sky, which he described as flying saucers. These objects, said to be round and shiny like foil, often appeared out of the ocean, performing impressive aerial maneuvers that bewildered and alarmed the expedition members. These incidents were not just one-offs but happened repeatedly, creating a serious concern among the crew. According to Byrd, these flying objects caused significant problems, forcing him to conclude that staying in Antarctica any longer was too risky. He reported back that these unidentified objects moved at incredible speeds and could outmaneuver all the military might he had at his disposal. Several aircraft were lost trying to track or capture images of these elusive objects, and one incident almost led to a naval disaster when a destroyer narrowly missed colliding with an iceberg during a pursuit. Byrd decided to pull the plug on the operation in light of these challenges. The goal had been to establish a durable American base on the continent, but the fleet left Antarctica abruptly, leaving behind the partially established Little America 4. Interestingly, official reports sent back to Washington made no mention of these extraordinary encounters. The public narrative was cleansed of any unusual events, making the operation appear as just another routine exploration effort. Years after the expedition, Byrd made another surprising claim. He spoke of a hidden temperate world beyond the South Pole, a place filled with lush vegetation and advanced beings, suggesting it was a refuge for survivors from the ancient city of Atlantis and other wonders. This claim, whether a result of the stresses from the mission or Byrd's imagination, added another layer to the already complex story of Operation Highjump. What started as a straightforward military exploration ended as a tale rife with unanswered questions about what the expedition truly encountered in the icy wilderness of Antarctica. Operation Highjump, led by Admiral Richard Byrd in 1946, has often been at the center of wild speculation. Some believe the mission ended suddenly because the naval fleet encountered either creatures from a supposed inner Earth or hostile aliens living under Antarctica. While these ideas are popular among conspiracy theorists, they probably aren't true. The mission likely faced typical military and environmental issues rather than encounters with riotous beings. There's also talk about the discovery of pyramids in Antarctica, visible in satellite images. These pyramidal structures, said to be man-made and similar to Egyptian pyramids, have sparked theories about a forgotten civilization. If this were true, It would challenge the known timeline of human history that suggests pyramid construction began around 4,600 years ago in the Middle East. However, these theories don't hold up well under scrutiny. Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years, long before humans built civilizations. The idea that a highly advanced society existed there is hard to believe given the extreme cold and ice coverage. Even if some formations look like pyramids, this isn't enough to prove a civilization existed there. Similar natural formations are found all over the world. Moreover, claims about these structures aligning with cardinal directions might not be as accurate as some people claim. The human tendency to find familiar patterns even when none exist could explain these observations. The stories often ignore established archaeological practices and lean towards sensational stories that capture more attention than the mundane truth. The theory that these pyramids are remnants of an ancient civilization relies more on exciting narratives than solid scientific proof. In the age of digital technology, images can be edited and manipulated to create misleading representations of natural formations as man-made structures. This manipulation can influence how people perceive these satellite images. As Antarctica's ice melts, more geological features will likely be revealed, leading to further speculation. Although this is a goldmine for writers of science fiction and conspiracy theories, legitimate scientific investigation remains based on skepticism and strict research methods. Until there's real evidence from credible scientific studies, the stories about ancient civilizations and hidden pyramids under the ice should be seen as interesting but unproven claims. Therefore, while the tales about Operation Highjump and Antarctic pyramids make for good stories, they also remind us to be cautious about believing in grand tales without evidence. The reality behind these stories is probably much less thrilling than the legends that have grown around them. In all, while these narratives of ancient civilizations in icy deserts captivate many, they also highlight the need for critical thinking and evidence-based scientific inquiry. Exploring these claims without jumping to conclusions teaches us about the boundaries of knowledge and the importance of questioning what we hear and see. Antarctica, often thought of as a desolate land of ice, has sparked some wild theories suggesting it hides remnants of ancient civilizations under its thick ice caps. These theories are fueled by stories of pyramid-like shapes and other structures that supposedly poke through the ice, hinting at a once advanced society. For instance, supporters of these ideas point to supposed pyramid shapes and crumbling stone-like formations that, they claim, mirror the grand architecture of ancient Latin American cultures. These are said to be lined up neatly along an elevated ice ridge, resembling the majestic pyramids of old, now worn down to about 50 feet in height due to erosion. The deeper we go, the more we uncover. The lost civilizations, taking over alien theories. Intriguingly, during the warmer summers in Antarctica, satellite images have reportedly captured other unusual formations, such as two long icy mounds beside a central diamond-shaped mound. Some quickly label these as the foundations of man-made structures, perhaps part of a larger complex. Skeptics, however, suggest that such evenly spaced formations are more likely the result of selective seeing rather than evidence of a sophisticated past civilization. These supposed man-made lines and shapes help to weave a narrative that also ties in with Charles Hapgood's study of the Peary Race Map. This ancient map allegedly shows parts of Antarctica's landscape under the ice, known only much later through modern technology. This, according to the theory's supporters, is evidence that ancient seafaring people knew of Antarctic coasts that were not covered in ice long before modern history acknowledges. Furthermore, more extreme theories even talk about underground bases and crashed alien spacecraft hidden beneath the ice, suggesting a whole world of advanced operations that are kept from the public eye. For example, according to these theories, in 1985, a pilot saw a massive hole in the Antarctic ice, believed to be an entrance to an underground base where humans and aliens work together on advanced projects. These projects supposedly range from developing new energy sources to exploring psychic abilities for use as weapons. However, the mainstream scientific community generally dismisses these ideas as overactive imaginations or misinterpretations of natural formations. Despite this, the allure of hidden advanced civilizations and covert extraterrestrial collaborations continues to fascinate some. This fascination is fueled by our natural tendency to find patterns and create stories from simple observations. While it's entertaining to consider a hidden world of ancient pyramids and high-tech alien bases under the ice, the more realistic view suggests that as the ice melts and reveals more, it's likely that these revelations will be rooted in natural science rather than in tales of ancient architects or alien visitors. As we learn more about this icy continent, it's wise to stay grounded in scientific fact rather than getting swept up in speculative fiction. Antarctica is the most remote and coldest place on Earth, where temperatures stay below freezing and fierce winds blow constantly. This vast expanse of white seems like no place for life beyond some tough microbes. Despite its barren look, this icy land is often talked about in stories and theories about hidden activities going on under its surface. A popular tale among these is about a huge hole said to be 300 feet wide that breaks through the ice of Antarctica. It's said to lead to a network of tunnels and chambers stretching for hundreds of miles beneath the frozen surface. This concept is somewhat similar to underground networks found in other parts of the world, like ancient tunnels in South America or religious caves in Turkey, which were made for spiritual or ceremonial reasons. However, the story of the Antarctic tunnels takes a wild turn by suggesting these weren't made by ancient people but by advanced aliens, possibly working with humans. This story started with an incident in 1985 during an emergency medical evacuation flight. The flight had to change its route to avoid a restricted area over Marie Byrd Land, a large region in Antarctica. Flying lower over the trans-Antarctic mountains, the co-pilot, named Bradford, reported seeing a massive hole near the mountains. He said the hole was big enough to fit their Boeing 737 airplane. Looking into the hole, he described it as so deep that he couldn't see the bottom. He also saw many vehicle tracks around the hole, which suggested a lot of recent activity. However, many questioned these claims, pointing out that there's no solid proof and questioning how such a large construction project could be possible in such a harsh environment. They argue that the Antarctic Treaty, which sets rules for managing the continent, would prevent such activities. Also, the extremely tough weather conditions would make it very difficult to build or maintain any facilities or cooperate with extraterrestrials. Critics believe that the fascination with these stories comes from their ability to engage our interest in the unknown and the unexplained, rather than any basis in reality. They see these stories as modern versions of old tales, where the natural wonders of a distant and hard-to-reach place are exaggerated with thrilling and dramatic elements. In reality, while Antarctica is a place of scientific interest with many important questions related to climate, ecology, and geology, the stories of alien bases and hidden tunnels often distract from the significant scientific work being done there. This work could be very important for understanding global climate changes and our future on Earth. In short, while Antarctica does have its real scientific puzzles, the exaggerated stories of alien partnerships and hidden worlds reflect our deep cultural interest in exploring the unknown. These stories are as captivating as they are unlikely, showing our enduring love for tales that stir the imagination. Bradford quickly took a few photos from his airplane window, capturing an unusual piece of land amidst the vast ocean. He had to hurry with his camera before his plane sped away to stay out of Marie Birdland's restricted airspace. What he photographed looked unnatural, with clear signs of man-made structures poking through the icy surface. This odd sight stuck in Bradford's memory as he returned to his base in Christchurch, New Zealand. A missing piece of evidence opens the door to even bigger legends, the lost evidence of Earth's hidden chamber. He immediately shared his findings with his bosses and co-workers. Over the next 2 days, he answered numerous questions posed by men in suits with eagle badges on their identities. These men were strangers to him, not the usual military or base personnel. Just as the situation seemed to settle, Bradford disappeared. His fellow crew members never saw him again. Intriguingly, when his personal items were later sent to his family, the photographs that might have proved what he saw were missing. Years rolled by, and nearly 20 years later in 2002, Bradford popped up in an online forum for conspiracy theories. Under the alias Snowman, he started sharing parts of his chilling ordeal. He spoke about being taken but didn't go into full detail, adhering to some pressure to keep quiet about the massive ice hole he had photographed. He suggested that the true nature and contents of that site could disrupt public peace and morality if they were ever made public. Despite his initial obedience to the directives not to talk, Bradford's desire to share his story grew stronger over time. He seemed to believe that the legal restrictions he was once under were no longer valid after so many years, or maybe he felt the need to share the truth was more important than following those old rules. Still, he was careful with his words, sharing just enough to hint at a huge, hidden structure under Antarctica's ice that seemed thoroughly planned and hidden from the public. Bradford's fragmented revelations attracted attention on the forum, but they also brought doubt. Was he unveiling a real hidden fact, or were these the ramblings of a man who had been out of the public eye for too long? The absence of the photographs that could confirm his story only led to more debate and uncertainty. It seemed too convenient that these key pieces of evidence disappeared right as riotous figures stepped into the picture. His story, although it captured the imagination of many, was designed to remain unproven, shrouded in layers of government silence and missing evidence. As people on the forum dissected Bradford's words, they were met with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Without the photos, his claims remained enticing yet frustratingly vague. His stories were just parts of a broader narrative of concealed operations in remote areas, debated and pondered by those who followed tales of cover-ups and hidden agendas. The full truth, if it were ever to be uncovered, stayed locked beneath layers of ice and obscured by a lack of hard evidence. Bradford's tale became a subject of much discussion, weaving a thread into the complex fabric of conspiracy theories. While it fueled the fires of speculation, it also underscored the challenges of distinguishing fact from fiction without solid proof. The story lingered, a tantalizing puzzle that was as compelling as it was unverifiable, leaving more questions than answers in its wake. Imagine an enormous chamber deep beneath Antarctica's frozen surface, described as a center for cutting-edge technology and science, allegedly run by otherworldly beings in collaboration with world governments. The story goes that this place, warmed by the Earth's own heat and bright enough to feel like daylight, serves as a base for incredibly advanced research. Here, air is mechanically purified to keep it breathable, preventing the buildup of harmful gases. This subterranean city, if it exists, could rival the size of major metropolitan areas and is said to be bustling with activity in fields like quantum physics, molecular restructuring, psychic powers, and theories that reach beyond our planet. The tale tells of thousands of people who have left their regular lives to work with these riotous non-human experts. They're reportedly addressing big issues like global energy shortages, developing psychic abilities for use as tools or weapons, and trying to create stable gateways to other dimensions. This underground community is supposedly governed by a council made up of representatives chosen from this hidden populace. One might wonder about the plausibility of such a facility actually existing. Could it really be powered by natural heat from the Earth, completely cut off and self-sufficient under one of the harshest environments on our planet? Or is this just another product of human creativity, imagining hidden realms that provide an escape from daily troubles? The narrative includes complex industries and experimental stations that, if real, would indicate a level of advanced technological collaboration between humans and extraterrestrials that seems beyond our current capabilities. It begs the question of why such a sophisticated race would begin working with humans in this covert manner, and why choose such a remote and challenging location as Antarctica. Some point to the discovery of unusual meteorites in the area during the 1990s as possible evidence of these extraterrestrial operations. However, healthy skepticism might lead one to question the feasibility of constructing such an immense facility under the Antarctic ice with supposed alien assistance, and how such a massive undertaking could escape global notice. As decades pass, we can imagine a future where someone accidentally discovers this alleged massive tunnel system, stepping into a bustling underground city inhabited by both humans and alien beings, all collaborating on projects shrouded from public view. Would this discoverer's fate be similar to that of a fictional character, with their findings concealed from the world? What do you think? Is there an ancient civilization beneath Antarctica? Like, comment and subscribe to join the discussion and explore the legends of our world.